Good morning, fans. It was a nice weekend. Another relaxing Red River game. That was quite enjoyable. Before we keep going, real quick, guys, make sure to use promo code HOOK'em for 50% off annual memberships right now. Flash sale. You can get all the best team information for cheap right now, half off. On today's show, we are going to talk about, of course, Texas embarrasses Oklahoma, Georgia as a real test, and the Georgia game recruiting. So there's going to be a lot of big names in-house. And then, of course, always your questions can take us off track. You guys can derail us at any moment with anything you guys are wondering. All right, we'll go easy up front. I'll ask each one of you, what was your favorite moment or play from Red River? We'll start with Eric.
Oh, man, everybody's going to say Silas Bolden, right? I mean,
yeah, you can't say Silas Bolden. That's
right. Yeah, I mean, everybody had their heart in their throat when that ball popped out and then Silas comes out of nowhere. Yeah, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Favorite play? Man, I don't know. Honestly, just like from a guy that likes to evaluate, watching Anthony Hill get that second sack where he forced Hawkins out of bounds and you just see his speed in the open field. That was probably the most impressive play to me because we know he's fast. We know he can run. But, man, he made a beeline for him, and the amount of ground he was making up in a hurry, I loved watching that. I'm trying to think. There was a lot of good plays. Colin Simmons, he had a lot of just fundamental plays, which that was the question about him. Was he going to play with discipline, or was he going to run upfield and create lanes for Hawkins? Well, he answered that question. Source this morning said he's like Anthony Hill in that he's either making a play or learning from a mistake, but he doesn't really make the same mistake twice. Just got a really quick learning curve. There's a lot of plays. I mean, we can talk about each one. We could go back. We got to skip the first quarter. Let's skip the first quarter on offense and then start talking about it.
Yeah, my favorite play was when Cam smacked that dude back.
Oh man,
the hit Trey. I've liked it, man. Both of our roughing or whatever unsportsmanlike this year from the offensive line, I loved both of them. Like, because there was a few years ago where you could hit our running backs, you could hit our quarterbacks, and we would just kind of stand there. And now we got a little bit of anger. Quinn, thanks for the $20. And yeah, we got Nino right here.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate it, Quinn.
Yeah, you got your fans. Brett Nelson.
Hey.
What's up, Brett?
Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk first quarter. So, first off, the group chat meltdowns were awesome in the first quarter. Like halfway through the first quarter, we were going to lose that game, and then people were already like, "Do we need Arch in?" I was like, "We're breathe, guys." So what's the latest on Quinn? Is he hurt? Is he rusty? I mean, clearly there's some rust, but like, is there anything more to it that we should read into? Or
well, I mean, I thought his mechanics were broken down on a few plays. That 4th and 1 where he just kind of sailed it out of bounds. You can see that was probably the most mad I think I've seen Sark at Quinn in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's a mechanical issue or a processing issue. But yeah, there's clearly rust. Nobody will say that he's hurt or anything still. We ask about it just because it was a sort of an uncharacteristic start for him. But he was sailing high all day. That first one, that pick was way over. Was that Wingo he's targeting? It was way over Wingo's head. He sailed a couple others high. Had the misfortune of Bond slipping on that one. That still wasn't a great throw over the middle. That would have broken wide open. Yeah, he's clearly rusty. Now, what we don't know is if he still has some lingering injury issues, because he's the type of guy to keep it quiet. Like I was telling guys before we came on video, after his freshman year, we started hearing about a whole lot of injuries that we weren't hearing about in the middle of the season. So everybody was keeping that quiet till it didn't matter anymore. Maybe they're doing the same again. I don't know. But he's clearly rusty no matter what. And if he's hurt, then, they've got a capable backup that maybe should be playing, because he's got to make some of those conversions. Those are easy throws for him. But I've got full faith in him having a good week of practice and looking like the Quinn we saw versus Michigan this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, what did you guys think of
me looking at it? I thought that we would come out with like the quick screen passes. I know we kind of opened up the game against Oklahoma that way the past few years, but I was looking for Sark to kind of get him in rhythm just because he hasn't played in over a month, right? And so I thought Sark did a good job of kind of settling him down and throwing the quick screens, right? Then I saw him kind of settle down after the first quarter, but he hasn't been looking at those throws, man. It's been over a month, and practice is way different than the game, right? So I just thought it's a game, man. A lot of emotions, man. A lot of adrenaline run through your body. He just kind of overshot it. It's been over a month. So, but once he settled down, I thought he was fine. It's a lot going into it, and they're giving you new looks, probably something you haven't seen on film. And even if it is open, the open throw is almost the hardest throw to make sometimes. I can't believe this dude is wide open, and he just kind of overshot it. So I thought he settled down, though. He got his feet under him.
Yeah, man. So same thing here, man. It's just rust. It's just rust, man. So once he did it, just actually kind of just settled down. He was good to go, man. But honestly, I was glad that he played this week, just to get it out of the system now, because we're going to need it for next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the thing that frustrated me wasn't like purely the intermediate overthrow, which is weird because he's elite on those intermediate passes. That's when you knew something was up. But it was that one, I can't remember if it was third down or whatever, but he just had to complete this little dinky short pass, and he just did a lazy footwork. That's the one that just kind of bothered me, because I was like, what are we doing, man? Like,
if he gets him in stride, he gets upfield for a first down there. I think that was to DeAndre Moore, maybe, or maybe Golden, one of those two. It was a lazy. He tried to just arm it out there, Pat Mahomes style, and it didn't work. But Brett Nelson, you appreciate the super chat. Yeah, we think it's rust. We might not know for sure until January 21st if he was dinged up still. That's just they try to keep that stuff as quiet as possible, which we understand. But for now, we're going with rust. If it keeps showing, at some point rust has to come off, right? We need some Rust-Oleum this week. We'll see if another week of practice. Get some better prepared. But that was uncharacteristic one way or the other, and it'll all come out in the wash at some point.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of frustrates me is I thought we were past kind of like the set your feet, Quinn. You're a third-year quarterback. You're your first rounder. I want like no more of the lazy throws.
He had one over the middle that he absolutely drove and stepped into. That I don't think he can make that throw if he's still hurt, because he had a lot of zip on it, and it wasn't It wasn't the typical Quinn. Just lay it out there. Like he just drilled it. One thing that was probably giving them some issues, they were playing 3 deep safeties, but the safeties weren't all that deep.
Right.
So they had 3 guys back there, but they're still pretty shallow for that type of defense. Normally you see those guys way back defending against the big play. They seem like they were playing the more intermediate stuff. That's one thing that stood out to me from the stands.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Georgia, we'll see. They're not what's interesting is their defense is not – they don't cause many turnovers. They're like very low in sacks, interceptions, fumbles. It's kind of weird, honestly, for a Georgia defense. So I want to see, because I was trying to think, will Georgia be able to rattle them? Statistically, they won't rattle them as much as an Oklahoma defense. So that'll be kind of interesting too, but we need to see it. We'll know pretty quick.
The thing that stands out about Georgia is they're equals talent-wise and size-wise and physicality and speed and all that. So that's where, this one's going to come down to execution, coaching, the right game plans and all that. Whoever plays better is going to win, and deservedly so. But, just reading the internet, there's a lot of Georgia fans that are quite nervous about it. But I think Texas fans are too. They got this Mississippi State. Neither team looked great against Mississippi State. They were up 34-10 before it got a lot tighter. But both teams are going in with like a similar level of nervousness, and I think that's accurate because I think both teams are a little bit unpredictable. At least what we've seen from the Texas offense. It seems like the Texas defense is the mainstay. They're going to show up in every game, and that's good. You need that. That sets the baseline for the team. That sets the floor. If Quinn brings it, then you got the ceiling, and you got a team that's capable of winning the national championship.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, do we have any Isaiah Bond update? All good there? Do we know that?
Well, we posted an article this morning. First of all, you guys should be signing up, man. We were on fire last Friday. We mentioned, and Saturday too, mentioned Leonga Lafau having a good week, Silas Bolden having a good week, Jalen Gilbo having a good week. All 3 of those guys balled out.
Sure did.
Leonga looked really good. We couldn't say that he was going to start until right before the game, in which we put it out there. Sources didn't want us to do that. But on the injury front, they're again, it goes back to what we're talking about with Quinn. They try to keep it quiet and in-house. What we can pick up is that, there's definitely some genuine concern about Derek Williams. Everybody else, I think, is kind of called inconsequential injuries, like they're dinged up, and maybe they're not 100%, but they'll be good enough to go. Derek Williams is the one that we're concerned about. Don't want to speculate too much. Again, injuries are iffy, and I hate to get them wrong when I do report on them. We'll let the school handle it, but right now we're not feeling too great about him.
Damn, that one sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah. Hey, Jelani McDonald, man, I guarantee that guy is going to be a superstar. Him and Derek Williams paired eventually back there are going to be amazing. Length, speed, ferocity.
He was flying around, man.
He was, man. Every time you turn around, it's like, who's 25?
I know. He was hitting, man.
That's that dude.
I had to get, because we hadn't seen him a ton, so he had to jog my memory too who 25 was, but he kept showing up with his size and speed. Now the question is, what are they going to do? Because they like to have depth at safety. If Derek does miss some time like we suspect, Will they roll with Jordan Johnson-Rebel as the fourth? Will they just run with a tighter rotation? Could they possibly put Jahdae Barron back there and move Gavin Holmes over to field corner, Malik Muhammad to boundary corner? It's going to get interesting because they've got a lot of talent at linebacker and a lot of talent at safety, but the depth isn't as great as it is some other places.
It's true.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to this. Makubo came and Donald got more snaps. I don't know if that's true or not. I wasn't really honest.
Yeah, Makuba did not play as much as he had been. I think that, he had a missed tackle or two earlier, and McDonald looked good. And they're playing with a tighter string on these guys because they do have real talent. So if you're not playing well, you're going to get replaced. But Makuba, we saw that same thing happen. Derek Williams barely played against Michigan, right? Because Makuba was balling out, and so. They're just gonna they'll just go with a hot hand.
Yeah.
And
then I wanted to ask too about Leonga. So he was at Will, and we've been hearing you've been reporting that he's been showing out in practice. What I've always heard he's our best in coverage. So it's like, do you think he's going to end up being our Mike, and Benda will end up being the Will at some point, or Hill will end up being the Will at some point?
I asked that too because, what I heard recently was they put more on the Will in coverage, or at least he has the harder, more difficult duties in coverage. Like Anthony Hill's got to drop to the hook curl, but Leonga might get manned up or might have to play downhill in the flat or play more diagonally backwards. So he is the best in coverage, but he's also called the most instinctive as well. When we go back to when they were recruiting him, we said they thought he was a superstar, not just some good kid. They weren't going to Hawaii just to get some kid and start the pipeline in Hawaii going. Yeah, I'm sure Jeff Choate enjoyed the luau's and all that, but he was they loved him. They said he was if he was in Dallas, he'd be a household name. So what I wrote the other day was, well, he was in Dallas and he looks like he's going to be a household name because he played well. Nino, I'm curious. That's probably the first time you saw him. Well, really, he's played in second halves and stuff. That was the first time, getting the start. What did you think of him?
Hey, man, big time players step up in big time games. This is a big time game, man, and he looked outstanding. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, he did his damn thing, man. So him, just paired with Hill, man, is going to be outstanding here for the next couple of years because look, everything like everybody knows Hill is going there for next year, but those two for this year and next year is going to be outstanding, man. This gives us opportunity, just at there in the middle, man, to honestly just kind of man everything, man. So I just got a feeling that nice little combo there should just kind of get us to the top here.
Yeah, I was joking with a source. The only question mark about him is that Coming to America braid he has. He's
got a rat tail.
I didn't know who he was, man. I was gonna start singing, man.
I saw that in the picture.
She's your queen to be, right?
Yeah, I saw it after the big tackle. I was like, wait a minute, what is this?
Like, who is this?
When we came out through the video of us coming out of the tunnel, you see.
Yeah, he had the little rat tail.
I love it though, man.
Yeah. It's probably going to have some meaning, and I'm culturally insensitive with that, But it's like I did notice it, and I was like, "Dude, that's a linebacker. That guy's going to hit you.
He's going to hit you. He's going to hit you." I thought it was Taft at first. I didn't see the 18. I was like, "Oh man, Taft got the braids." I was like, "Taft got the braids."
No, I had him mixed up a time or two because the jersey will be ruffled, and you can't tell if it's 16 or 18. But man, if Taft had that, oh my gosh!
You say Mookie.
All right, let's we're having good times, guys. Let's run the vibe immediately. What is the O-line going to look like next year?
Oh, come on, man.
Oh yeah, we were just having a little too much
We're
fun.
having a damn good vibe.
Right?
Well, it's gonna be left tackle, Eric.
Left tackle, I think it's gonna be Gooseby.
That's what too.
I'm good with that.
I think it's going to be good. Yeah, and because these guys are going to get playing time right on time. They're not coming in having to play as true freshmen. They're right in the middle of their developmental start. It's their time to take those first year starter lumps. Like we've mentioned on IT, there's consideration that they could lose all 5 starters. They're not saying it's for sure going to happen, but it's possible. And Cam Williams, I mean, he looks like NFL tackle size and athleticism is there. It's flexibility with that build is unreal.
They're starting to talk about first. I'm seeing the scouts talk first round for him. I need to start putting out some negative reports like they did 80 minutes. I need him to
get him to stay for a year.
Yeah. He's addicted to food. He's going to weigh 400 pounds.
Make stuff up.
Oh yeah. He's coming out, there was a lot of talk that him and Banks were not that far apart, just a lot different from where they were as far as the readiness to play. Banks is a total unicorn with being able to play as a true freshman. And I think with Cam, he lost a little bit of motivation when Christian Jones came back because he was expecting to just slide right into that, and then Christian came back, boosted his draft stock. But man, starting in the spring and August, we started hearing really good things about Cam, and it's played out. It got a couple of penalties this year, but his actual play has been really good. He's very quick for that size, and when you can run outside zone behind a guy that's 350 pounds, that's not very fair, man. Because that's supposed to be just a giant drive blocker, but he's getting out in space and doing things. So he's killing it. Yeah, I can see why NFL guys are noticing him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so does he really want to answer this question? I was hoping not.
How about Campbell, man?
Gooseby, Neto, Hudson at center. I'll go with Hudson at center. Right guard, man, I don't know. Could be Nate Kibble, could be Portal, and then right tackle Brandon Baker. But this is the year that I think they'll actually go portal. They have not gone portal offensive lineman in Sark's time here. But the reason they're doing that is because they want immediate help. We've talked about how they didn't go all in on Michael Fasusi because they didn't want to have that amount of capital tied up on the bench. It just doesn't make any sense. So you want to put that capital to work right away. The way to do that will be in the portal. So I do think that they're going to bring in a guy or two. They love experience. There's been a lot of times they don't go with a very talented guy just because he lacks a little experience. They'll go and get somebody that's done it before, and while still bringing along the younger player to make sure he does start getting his feet wet. But yeah, expect them to go portal. So it's impossible to really answer that question right now. But they've got 3 building blocks for sure, 4 building blocks really. Gooseby, Umeozulu, Cole Hudson, and Brandon Baker. And they really like Nate Kibble. Nate Kibble's kind of got a Kelvin Banks head and a DJ Campbell body. Not quite as athletic or powerful as DJ, but still a really good player.
Where do you think DJ is going to end up in the draft?
Yeah, that's my question. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he ends up in the following draft.
I agree.
You're looking at a whole different line. If you got Neto, your interior could be Neto, Cole, and DJ. Now you're looking at it could be a possible team strength. But Brandon Baker, we're still learning about him. They're really high on him. I still need to hear a little bit more to get really excited. But Gooseby, they've been excited about. Great work ethic. Kibble, very excited about him. Great work ethic. I don't know if he's going to be ready to start, though. That's where it gets a little iffy. I could see them going portal. But if they can get DJ back, NIL him like they've done, Alfred Collins, Devondre Sweat, a few other guys in the past, Jahdae Barron, they just come back, improve your draft stock, put your trust in us, and we'll get you paid.
There it is.
And Brett, I'm not going to skip over your chat. We'll just, whenever we hit Georgia, I'll make sure we go back to this. Injury report on Bond. We already discussed that. Doesn't seem major. Yeah.
His mom even said minor injury on Twitter. She was comparing the atmosphere between the State Fair and the Iron Bowl.
Oh, she picked Red River, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Smart woman.
I wanted to ask.
You must not have got stuck in that foot traffic. Oh, my gosh. They got to figure that stuff out, man.
It's brutal. All right. And then, so as Blue Out starting running back, this is just a good framework to talk about.
It's good.
Quintravion's performance as well. So is he out as a starting running back? I don't know. The media asked Sark point blank with Trey sitting right next to him in the post game. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
They literally were like, "Is Trey going to be the starter now?"
It's brutal.
Trey just has to sit there quietly, and Sark has to give like a spiel. But
hold on, we just got my favorite type of super chat.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate
that subscription.
UT parking.
We appreciate that.
UT parking.
Yeah, he's just giving us our money back to us. All right, so running back. There you go. I talked to a source about it, and we don't like to say anything too out of turn, but the source it's going to be really hard to keep Trey off the field the way he was playing. He was making big plays. He was bouncing off people. He was sunning them, man. I mean, he was just running through guys. Showed that breakaways. He's got good speed. Watching the replay, I was like, man, I can't believe they didn't have this guy starting at DeSoto his senior year. What am I missing there? I had him playing at wide receiver quite a bit, but he's just a pure football player. He's a dog. He's tough. He takes the game extremely seriously. When he first got there, that really stuck out to him was a football character. If you looked at him, you say, all right, he looks a little rough around the edges. Like, this guy's fully bought in, does everything the right way, works his tail off, wants it. You could see he wanted it on special teams last year. And so he's just, this is we're kind of just seeing, I think we're seeing the mental eval play out between Trey and Jaden. And that's not to say anything about Jaden. He's a talented guy. Hopefully he starts playing better. But, you got to go. If you're going to go with a hot hand, it's obviously Trey.
It's Trey, man. And plus, man, he's patient too. You know what I'm saying? He's patient. He's a very patient runner. I think, having Wisner be, like honestly, just a top dog, it puts Blue back in in his job from last year where he can be that change of pace back, coming in, and just do great things like that. But Trey, he runs a lot bigger than what he is. You know what I'm saying? What is he? Like 6 foot, 200 pounds? You know what I'm saying? But he runs like he's 220. Let him be patient. Let him run the ball and then come in on third down, change the pace back with Blue.
Blue actually had a couple nice plays. I mean, everybody's talking about Trey, but Blue made a couple plays after the catch. He picked up some extra yards. But yeah, it's you can see his feet kind of go out from underneath him when he hits contact, and Trey's just trying to run through you.
Homer, we talked about this when we did the film review on Wisner, how he got better as he got more carries. Even late in the season last year, you can kind of see the growth from last year to now. It just kind of carried over. Man, Trey is just a different kind of guy. He may not have Blue speed, but he's patient. He finds the holes. We talked about that last week. Was it the offensive line of running backs? Trey doesn't miss the holes. He doesn't miss the cutback lane. Like, he's so patient. He sees it different than Blue. Blue just wants to hit it and not take anything away from him because he has so much speed. He gets downhill and he goes. But Trey is patient, a patient runner who can find the cutback lane. And once he finds it, man, you're not bringing him down on first contact. So
that long touchdown run he had after the fumble recovery, that's a 15-yard gain for most running backs.
Yeah, it is.
You see that in real time. Whenever I evaluate film, I'm like, all right, is he going to house it here? If he houses it here, he's a player. I don't, most times you would have seen that setup where the defense is converging on him, and you'd say he's not going to house that. And he still did, and he held on to it.
He did. He actually looked at the screen and he saw guys getting close. So he kind of go over the end zone, like, you're not getting this one this time.
Yeah, learning from your mistakes, though. Learning from your mistakes, right? Is what you want.
Yeah,
I liked his response post game too because they asked him about it, and he's credited Silas with correcting his mistake. That's a good kid too, man. That's what I like too. I'm like, every time I've heard him speak, I'm like, he gets it,
Yeah, she seems like a happy dude.
Yeah. All right, before we keep going, y'all, first a word from Andre the lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Good stuff.
I almost want to get hurt so I can call Andre based on that promo.
Yeah.
It just sounds like such a pleasant experience.
Yeah, exactly. Just to hang out with him, All right, you guys the chat's on fire today. I'm trying to keep up with you guys. Especially if you mention Blue, the chat just goes.
No, we've got some Cook apprehension in here too. So we're getting the daily double of the YouTube favorites.
Oh no, we have Cook apprehension.
Cook. Yeah, Cook.
Wow.
How do you guys feel? UT parking is about to be furious. All right. How do you guys feel about Cook only playing 4 plays in the OU game? That is crazy.
I've got my trust in Steve Sarkisian. So, that's once you trust the main guy, what do you want me to do? Obviously it'd be great if he was balling out, but if he's balling out, it's coming at the cost of somebody else balling out, because they're all good. And so Sark has whatever the reasons are. Yeah, that's why. Maybe it's getting his attention for some reason. I don't know. There's got to be a reason for it. They didn't just forget about him. So we'll let it play out.
Yep. And something you said about defense earlier. If you got another guy balling out and you kind of miss your opportunity, like, they're going to go with the hot hand. And so maybe other guys are deserving their reps and they're balling out and taking advantage of their opportunities.
Yeah, they should be force feeding Ryan Wingo. I mean,
dude, on tape, every play he's like a thoroughbred, man.
You could see them when he broke out in the field, open field. He split the defense there, and you could Herb Street nearly finished. I mean, it was he just got shot out of a cannon, and that's another one of those plays you don't expect the player to get through it, but then you realize, oh, it's number 5, and he probably will. And he looked like Andre Johnson or Terrell Owens running through the open field, right? It's just a sight to see. Those 3 freshman wide receivers, man, they're the 3 most talented wide receivers in the country, and they're all 17, 18 years old.
The SEC, the top 4 receivers in yards per reception are, this is not in order, but Wingo, Williams, and Cam Coleman and Auburn's a freshman too, right?
Yep.
And then
he's freshman.
And then there's one other It might not even be SEC. It might be in the country. I think it might be Jeremiah Smith at
Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State.
But there's like the freshman receiver class in 3 years will be an all-time wide receiver class for NFL draft.
Yeah, no kidding. Ryan Williams would go top 5 after this year, probably.
Man.
Dude, he could play right now. I don't know about all the little things, but as far as like making catches in the field, he can do that.
Yeah, if you can keep him from having to get off man coverage against a grown man, he's gonna get open.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with Wingo, man. That size and that speed is unnatural. Not
I see Wingo on the reverses. He reminds me of Roy Williams his freshman year. Like he gets reverse, he's so big, and nobody wants to get in front of him, man. You're trying to ankle tackle him. It's like he's running through all that.
What I loved on that play was he got upfield quick. That thing is designed to go outside, hashes to the sideline, and he got upfield quick when he saw it. There's no hesitation. Most freshmen are going to string it out, miss their opportunity. He just shot through there. He's a full-grown man, and he plays like it.
Yeah. What's up, Kieran? Cam Coleman is a victim of Hugh Freeze, and it breaks my heart. That kid is so good.
Exactly.
Hey, Cam Coleman made a decision to go to that program. Look at the quarterbacks. This is not hard.
He did.
Sometimes Texas fans will oversimplify. Who wouldn't want to play for Arch Manning? Well, that is a good question. Who wouldn't? Well, yeah, it's an IQ test, and you failed. If you don't want to go play for Sark as wide receiver,
Sark and Arch.
That 2022 class, we're all like, where are the wide receivers at? Why are they not signing? Why are they not lining up left and right to play for Sarkisian? All they got was Brennan Thompson that class. You had a bunch of guys failing an IQ test that would be queued up to go after 3 years. If you're a good player at Texas, wide receiver, you're only going to play 3 years at Texas.
Yep.
Yeah, he's Wingo every time.
He's
sick. Reading through the chat, make sure I'm not missing you guys.
Here's a good one right here. I love these ones.
Oregon landing defensive tackle Derek Harmon out of the portal was massive. He's performing like a first-round pick. Zavea has been non-existent, and Lole plus Norton have been serviceable but not special.
Well, Harmon had all kinds of mental questions coming out. I think he had gone out, gone back in, gone out, gone back in, gone out again, just a lot of times, and a ton of money. That guy was not going to be cheap. And Texas needed a lot of bodies. You can't overload it and just get one guy, because he's still only going to play 30, 40 snaps maybe. And Lole, I would say Lole's been better than serviceable. I would say Norton was pretty good on Saturday, what you're looking for anyways, eating up reps, eating up snaps.
Yeah.
Those linebackers every single linebacker had a good game. Even, Benda and Blackwell still, I think each had 4 or 5 tackles. Every linebacker had a good game. So you have to ask yourself what's going on up front, making it easier for them. I'd contend that Lole and Norton played very well. And Alfred Collins and Braun were good. But yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one defensive tackle basket, and it's not going to happen again this year too, because they're going to need 2-3 guys, and you got to kind of disperse it out. But in a perfect world, they'd have Derek Harmon and maybe even Walter Nolan backing up Alfred Collins and Broughton, but that's just not practical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're very reasonable with our team management, almost frustratingly so. But like you said, if we need 3 defensive tackles, we're not going to spend it all on one tackle.
Texas is trying. Texas. Yeah, like the team up north. They could. Hey, anybody watch Dylan Gabriel? They could have that $850K that went to Dominic Williams could have gone to Dylan Gabriel, and they could have brought that 5-star quarterback along a little slower, and they wouldn't be playing a true freshman quarterback. It's all about management.
Yeah,
you got to be mature. You got to remove emotion about it. You got to have a plan and stick to it. And Texas has had the best NIL since NIL started. It doesn't always look like that because they don't always go get the splash guy. But they don't lose players, which is number one in the NIL era. Don't lose anybody you want to keep, and then fill your needs. And they've been very responsible. And Texas has had the best NIL since NIL started up.
Yeah, we forget that it's like the NFL. They're managing an entire roster. That money has to be distributed, and we're doing a good job with our second, third strings. It's not always about your flash guy.
UT Parking's already tuned us out. I guarantee. He don't want to hear it.
When does the rest of the media stop calling the OU defense elite? I was leading that charge. They're really good defense. They're not an elite defense.
No.
Yeah.
Now they run really well.
To boost our rankings, we can call them elite now just because we looked good, but that's not an elite defense. It's a really, really good defense.
Yeah. Their passing defense is horrible too, man. I think it's like 3rd in the SEC and like passes of like 15 yards or more, man. I think prior to the game, they had 26 passes of 15 yards or more with honestly, most of them being like 20 yards or more. So, they get had and they get got, and Texas could have had, I think this game, Texas had 6 plays like that, right? Texas could have had 9 easy, man. So, hey, they get burned pretty deep easily.
And their tackling was not great. The second and third level was not great. Billy Bowman ended up on the highlight film again. That Spears Jenkins dude, which, the guy's got some talent. He did not play great.
Yeah, that's a good player too. He looked awful. I don't know what happened.
I thought he was out of it.
I was trying to be nice. Yeah, he did not look good at all. I was talking to one of my buddies that covers OU, Keegan Reno, and he took offense to our insider post of saying that the D tackles were good but not great, and he wanted me to admit that they were great. I couldn't do it. They didn't look great. They looked all right. It's a solid defense. It's a Venables defense, but he's still missing some parts. He knows that he's had better defenses than that. And, he's got a ways to go to get that, but at least he's got his defense trending in the right direction. The offense is a whole different matter. Good defense, not great. If they want to call that defense elite, then what are they going to call a Texas offense that played poorly and still put up 34?
Yeah.
Yeah, and their excuse was the offense left the defense on the field. They led in time of possession, and they averaged 68 plays a game on defense. And then against Texas, it was 62. That would be 18th in the country for having a light game. So even their excuse of that their defense got tired. The problem with the OU elite narrative, when people watch it, they move around a lot, and it tricks people into thinking they're better than they are just because they move so quick to the line and stuff like that. There's something about like this appearance of blitz that can trick people into thinking teams are better.
There's also the Stutzman hype machine, which he's a solid linebacker. Don't get me wrong, he's pretty good. But he's not. I don't think he's special. I think he's a good. I think they've had a lot of guys like him in the past.
I like him. I like him in run defense. He's definitely gotten smarter. He missed a ton of tackles last year. But I like Stutzman. I'll give him that. But also he's the most vocal on their defense, so naturally it's just like you end up not liking him. And then Eric will know the information about this. DMG on IG about tailgating. He's gonna come. I think AR, you're saying it's your first Texas game. He was asking about the Inside Texas tailgate. I didn't know how that was rolling.
Yeah, man. Let me think about that. We'll DM you back on that. We're gonna have one. I want to see how big I want to go. We're gonna go pretty big. We might say something later in the week. We'll definitely DM you, AR, and anybody else who reaches out individually. I'm trying to think how big we want to go.
Cool. Is this by far the best Texas team? I mean, the best. I mean, you got to win it, but it's. But what I did think was interesting, we had Brian Robeson on and Drew on. Those are both championship players for us, and they both said that this team is deeper than the national championship team.
Yeah, I don't think it's more talented than 05, and I don't think it's better than 05. I think the appearance of depth makes sense because they play so many guys, whereas Mac Brown, if you're a starter, you started. If you're a backup, you had to wait till somebody got hurt.
Right.
Now we just see so many of these guys playing because part of that is the NIL era. You've got to keep these guys happy. You got to get them reps. Taft is known as like the glue guy on the team. And how many snaps does he get in a game? 35, 40? What I mean? So they just rotate. They rotate a lot. And so you get to see the depth. It makes it more obvious. I would have 2005 better. 2008's close. Definitely better than 2009. 2009, was an injury away from winning the Natty. So I don't know. Let's just enjoy it. They got a long way to go. They got a lot to prove, and they got a tough road to go because they've got they got an extended playoffs to navigate too. So if they get through it, then I think, if they get through this season undefeated somehow, you're definitely going to have a valid argument with the 05 team.
They did this when the first year of Sark versus Riley too. They ran out of water, and at halftime, I had to leave the stadium and go buy it at the things, and then hang out in the AC of where they keep the cars because it was that hot.
There's no excuse for running out of water, but there's also no excuse for you fans going in there out of shape. Let's go. You got a whole year. you got a whole year. You got a whole year to prepare for that game. I guarantee you, 95% of you were not as dehydrated as I was going into that game. And, the water never crossed my mind.
You got to get in shape for that fried food. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man!
All right, y'all. Let's hit one more ad, and then we will talk Georgia and some recruiting stuff.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512, or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description, as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend.
All right.
Hey, let's give Nino a little love here, huh?
I appreciate it, Wayne. Appreciate it,
Where
Wayne.
where can we find this podcast?
Man, just go on YouTube, Twitter, anywhere, man. Just go to Nino's Corner Sports, man. You'll find me, man. You know what I'm saying? But look, on Twitter, it's just at Nino's Corner.
I knew the answer. I just want to make sure everybody else does.
All right, cool. All right, Georgia. I think Eric made a good point where he says Georgia's a little bit standoffish and doesn't want to talk a lot of trash. I think Texas is in the same place. Me and Nick, before we went on the show, we said I would feel comfortable with Texas winning by 3. I would feel comfortable with Georgia winning, and I would feel comfortable with Texas winning by 14. Yeah. This is a weird game. I've been looking over the stats, doing my breakdown. They do a lot of things really well. This is a good team. It's not what we've seen from Georgia. So you have to get that out of your mind. This is not the dominant Georgia of the past with like a Stetson Bennett and that defense. It's just not that. So you have to evaluate them, take the Georgia logo off and evaluate them as they are. But that being said, this is still a well-coached team that's executing effectively. They get a little stop and start. Like Kentucky, weird game, right? But they win it when they need to. Alabama, weird game, but they storm back. I still count Beck's, like he was able to score and get him. It's a game winner in most situations, right? Yeah. So you got to trust that. Mississippi State, if you look at the box score, you're going to get the wrong impression of that. Mississippi State came in, but they were never actually threatened by them. But it did kind of expose some weaknesses in the passing defense. So Georgia's going to be a weird game, but it is our first test. I know Texas fans get furious when rival fans keep saying we haven't been tested, but statistically we haven't been tested.
They haven't. Texas hasn't faced a good quarterback yet.
We haven't.
Hawkins, I think, has a chance to be good, but he's not there yet. But TJ Days makes the point that we should all be considering. They'll be distracted by these fast cars in town.
That's a good joke.
I love that.
Oh man,
I need to reverse super chat TJ some money on that one. That's good.
Oh man,
yeah, we owe you. That's a good one.
That was a good one.
Oh, man.
So it's gonna be interesting. Carson Beck is not at the numbers he was last year. Last year he was top of the SEC. Now he's like 6th-ish in the SEC and kind of pushing a little bit, but still doesn't change the fact that's the first NFL quarterback we've seen all season. And so
I'm really curious how they come out with their game plans for Georgia. I want to do some deep dive on them and really scout them a little bit. But defensively, man, I think they're going to be bold and just say, no, I'll put my corners on the island and man up. But it might be a long day if you do that. So, but we'll see, man. I want to deep dive and see exactly how they played some other teams first.
They're aggressive. They're still going to do man, but do you do that versus Texas like you said?
I don't know. I think Kirby might go back to his Tampa too.
They're not getting a ton of pressure either, right? So man coverage without a ton of pressures against these wide receivers. Yeah, I don't know. Texas,
they're not getting sacks. I mean, they're still athletes. They're flying off the ball, and they will blitz you. So it's like it's still Georgia in that regard, but they're just not finishing like they did.
Yeah, this won't be acceptable because they're still a good team. Georgia is still a good team, and when they're on, they're really good. We saw them on against Clemson. Clemson's proven to be all right, pretty good. They were on in that second half versus Alabama. So when they're on, they're as good as anybody. It's just if they play a full game, that's a scary team. They just do this weird thing where they're playing half games, kind of Texas-y in the past, honestly. Yeah, and then they're also very similar to Texas. These teams are oddly alike in a lot of ways. Yeah. And then upcoming narrative, but this is Texas gets discredited every single time. Like Alabama wasn't as good. Yeah. They won the SEC.
I just won the SEC.
So, and the reality is this Georgia isn't the Georgia of the past. That actually is true, but it doesn't mean this is not a good test and this is not a valid test.
Yeah. No, Georgia's still a good team. They deserve to be number 5 in the country. It's top 5 matchup. Yeah. It could come down to quarterback play, right? I mean, Carson Beck is good, and they've got this question I think ties into the whole thing. They have good wide receivers. They're not as good as Texas' wide receivers, but that doesn't mean they're not good. This will be the first time that the passing game, the secondary, has truly been tested by a talented quarterback and talented wide receivers. So that's something. There's a level of variance here that we're not sure what to expect. They could, they're going to make some plays, but you like Barron and Muhammad, I should say, and Gilbo. He's playing well. Safeties are on the same page. I like the matchup, but Georgia can hurt Texas this week. There's no doubt about it.
And the one weakness is they are not hitting explosives. So they've been trying to generate that. They got their returner, Anthony Evans, I believe. They're getting him out there. And then London Humphreys, the Vanderbilt. And he's white.
He can run.
I was going to say, he's white, so everyone
he can run.
He runs a 10-6. He runs a 10-6. So that's their biggest thing is their receivers haven't been able to hit the deep stuff. They did versus Mississippi State. Fool's gold, right? Mississippi State's 125th in the country in passing defense.
But hey, Homer, but Carson Beck, one thing about him, he's very arrogant. He's a very arrogant quarterback. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but he's going to try to get his, man. He is going to test our cornerbacks. And look, I'm here for it. People haven't tested Manny yet. I think Carson's going to go after him. I think this is the game that Manny gets his pick, man. Carson's going to test him, and then, also Georgia hasn't run the ball at all this year. They haven't been good at the run at all this year, man. So this is a different Georgia team. It's all on Carson Beck's arm. But if he does get arrogant, man, look, I like Texas' chances in this game, but it can go either way, man. It could be Texas 3, it could be Georgia 3, Texas 14, Georgia 14. Really close game, man.
Here's the paradox that we find ourselves in, because nobody beats Texas except for Texas. I think if Texas plays its best game, then I don't think this Georgia team is capable of playing of its best game, besting Texas. So I'll take your little puzzle here, David Dalrymple, and I'll say that if Texas plays a good game, it doesn't matter. I think you still got the mythical Georgia in your head that went back to back. And it was maybe the best team in the country last year and didn't even make the playoffs just because of that loss to Alabama. But they're not invincible. Don't bring any other years into this when you evaluate Georgia, because it'll screw up your evaluation. They're not that team.
They can't run. I just don't get how they cannot run.
And they have the number 2 and number 4 graded back too in the SEC. So their backs are performing well.
Yeah.
They have an elite offensive line too. They're number 2 behind Texas in pass blocking. Those boys can pass block.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting, guys. Here we go. I'm just terrified of Vandy Menzel on the road at this point. Well, what did Alabama learn? They played Bama, and the next week they played Vandy, and what happened? Or they played Georgia and then Vandy. What happened?
Ooh, in Nashville.
That game, I'm not looking forward to that game as much as I was, before. Just because two highs, you got OU and Georgia back to back. If Texas lost this game, then they're going to go into Vanderbilt probably feeling a little different. But that guy's good. He's almost. I was thinking he's kind of like Dylan Gabriel, except he's not that good. But he's a tough son of a gun.
Yeah,
surprise! Everybody wants a surprise. Justice Terry coming in was a surprise. One of the top D tackles in the country, 5-star. Texas will give him something to think about. We reported he's coming in Friday. So is he serious about Texas, or is he just coming in for the game? Well, coming in a day before, we'll tell you that he's at least going to give Texas a good look. If he just want to come to the game, he'd come in Saturday, shoot out Sunday morning. But Texas will make it interesting. They've got something up their sleeve to pitch him on, and we'll see. But I don't know if there's going to be surprise visitors or just guys that we haven't uncovered yet. That's what we'll be working on this week to try to get the most exhaustive list of visitors we can. Another reason to sign up to IT.
There it is.
We lose him. See if we get him back.
Who's that?
No, we were done with the question. What are you looking for?
No, I froze. I thought you froze there.
I never freeze up.
Your internet elite, man. All the fans asking too, are these kids for real, or are they just coming to watch an awesome game?
Well, that's everyone's going to be different, but who cares? Like we talked about the other day, it's an attention-getting device. Use it as such. Get them in and get their attention. Kids like good football, and kids like functional, consistent NIL. They like being developed in the NFL draft picks. So there's going to be. You almost have to have genuine interest, even if you don't think you do yet. Once you get around it, you see all these guys that are getting drafted. The track record, the coach's track record. NIL, the ecosystem, get around the players and see that it's a happy, functioning environment. I mean, happy to the extent you can be to get ready to go beat people up. But it's it's a very healthy, stable environment. I think it's going to get a lot of people's attention. So we'll be talking about kids differently after the visit than we will be before.
What do you guys think of that orange smoke? I think I don't know how we're allowed to do it because it like lingers on the field for like a while. What do you got? We did it at the Cotton Bowl too. I'm surprised we're able to like basically just gas the student section.
Even get the machines in.
Anything can add to the game day experience, man. Like CDC's after it. I don't know, man. He's
They should have it coming out of Jetpack, man.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That'd be awesome.
God, they had the most hokiest Jetpack dude from the 60s. Like, we still haven't even been to the moon yet. Oh my God, man.
No. Any new silent commits, and will you name them all?
New from when? I've got him. Well, I had him down for 3. Now I got him down for 2 because Dalen McCutcheon came off. Which, man, I haven't been on video, I think, since that. I love that. I love that get from him. Yeah, I've got him at 2, but maybe they have more. I don't know. Cool. Silence don't matter like they used to. Silence don't matter like they used to. You got to get them over the line. Because one of those guys that's a silent still has schools coming after him really hard. And so Texas has to, they got to work to get him over the line.
Yeah. I'm excited to see our secondary get tested downfield. I actually am too, Kieran. I think that's really where Texas will be. That's the test when we say Georgia's the test, because it's the number 1 defense in yards per pass. But like I said, not super explosive, but matured receivers that get to their spots. I would say that Mississippi State's receiving core is far more explosive. Like you'd be scared of them getting behind you, but Georgia, of course, has a more mature, consistent, even though they've lost 2 wide receivers to getting arrested. So they've actually been hurt in that regard, right? They lost Ra and they lost Colby. So
you see that touchdown Dylan Bell had on Saturday?
Yeah. Was that the one at the end zone where he went up?
Back in the end zone? Yeah. Goodness gracious. I mean, that guy he looked like he might be a linebacker coming out of high school, and he's
a former running back. He's a former running back.
Yeah, he's just an athlete down in Houston. Yeah, he's making plays. And that Anthony Evans kid from San Antonio, he's explosive. I haven't seen as much of him, but yeah, it's just a fully functioning offense, and they haven't really played a good quarterback yet. And this is everybody was focused on OU, don't get me wrong, but they knew that this game is the real test.
Yeah, I feel like Georgia just won't be afraid. They won't play in the box, but they won't respect the logo. And it's like, we're not trying to get blown out. They're going to try to attack Texas and not be afraid to do so because they trust their athletes. So I think they'll be tested. I thought OU only took 1 deep shot, and it didn't work, and they got away from it. Mississippi State tried, once or twice?
Yeah.
He didn't complete it. They went away from it, right? But Georgia won't be afraid to say, you know what, that's fine. I got an athlete out here. I'm going to test you out. Let's go. If you're a first round corner, I'm coming at you. Let's go.
It's gonna be talent versus talent, man. Ones on ones.
That's where it should be.
Yep.
All right, we got some eyeball emojis here.
I hope Javion Hilson is a silent commit. If Texas were to get Hilson and pair him with Colin Simmons, the Longhorns would have the nation's best weak side defensive end duo in the nation.
All right, let me just highlight that for a reason. Now everybody knows why I highlighted that. All right.
Why am I not hearing more buzz around Otis from Bama planning to enter the portal? Is he a Jag? Jaheim Otis.
Oh my gosh, dude! The Texas internet fan. Man, they don't really want bad mental evals. They want to get rid of bad mental evals. So he's a solid player. But you got to pass the culture test, which is Sark talks about it all the time, but it's not just talk. He talks about it for a reason because it's how he conducts the program. So I would not expect him. I would not expect Bear Alexander. Super Sadir. I called him the other day. They're looking for the right fits. Otis is a good player. Yeah, he is. I mean, he's not starting there. That's why he's leaving. He's a solid player. Right. He'd improve the roster from a talent perspective. But what does he do to the locker room?
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, Jacob, don't take that from him. Fight back, man.
What did he just call me?
Oh man. Just the internet recruiting fan, they're always going by internet hype. Recruiting hype never dies, even though we get new data on them. If once a 5-star or once an elite recruit, always an elite recruit to a lot of fans, and that's just not how it is. We've got, is Is he going to be good in the locker room? Is he going to hit the weights? Is he going to do the right things? Is he going to eat healthy? Is he, going to put in extra work? If not, then they'll find somebody who will.
Do any of the 350 pounders eat healthy? Can
We eat a lot of healthy and then a lot of not healthy.
Yeah. While on campus, they eat healthy, right? As soon as they leave, anything.
What do you mean, like 9 steaks? There's no way to get that many calories and eat correctly.
I don't.
You got to put it in perspective.
I don't know how they eat that much.
He's got to do the Tavondre Sweat where the Titans got onto him already for drinking like 8 Gatorades, and we assumed they're water, and they're like, no, that's a ton of calories. And he's like, it's a drink.
That's like cheat code number 1 is don't drink your calories.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Also, if you want to be 360-pound nose tackle, then maybe drink your calories.
Oh,
8 Gatorades. That's crazy.
Sweat's balling right now.
It will be interesting to see.
He's balling right now. We know it's going to happen.
It will be interesting to see what we do at tackle. Was there any other interesting players? Portaling wise for the chat, and you can have Eric shoot you down immediately whenever you ask it.
Right.
But I don't know. Anything else recruiting wise?
No, not really. I mean, we'll have probably 5 shows this week talking more recruiting.
Yeah,
a lot of 2026s. This is actually very good because Texas is a slow starter on each class because they really like to focus on the class, the current class. They've got a pretty good handle on how the current class is going to finish. They've got this game to use as a sign for the university for the next class. They're going to take advantage of that. Lots of 2026s coming in, and I think in conjunction with them having a good year. That should end sometime in January, right when 2026 recruiting picks up. I think that they'll be off to a good start, and thanks in large part to the opportunity this game has to have so many kids in.
Coach, you got anything?
I'm just saying this is going to be a huge game for the younger kids, 26, even 27. I think it's been the number 1 team, and then you running through the SEC like you're doing right now, and you run through Georgia, it's going to say a lot. I think you're going to win over a lot of parents too, not just the kids. You're going to get the parents, you get the family on board. That's who really helps with recruitment a ton of times. So Texas keeps winning. I think everything else is going to take care of itself because these guys can flat out recruit and close. We know Sark is a closer, but if you're closing about what you're doing on the field, it helps even more, man.
What's from both of you guys that have been recovering recruiting, and Coach, you weren't with us, but you knew what kids were saying about Texas years ago. Has there been that switch? Is there that buzz about Texas now? Have you noticed a noticeable difference in how the young kids talk about Texas? Because there was a period there where they really didn't care like that about Texas anymore. So I'm trying to see is that kind of switching?
It's ebbed and flowed. We've seen a lot of excitement whenever they bring in a new coach. We called it the new coach smell. Everybody gets excited about a new car. Yep. I bought a new car because my friend bought one time. The smell was intoxicating. Very dumb decision. But yeah, Tom Herman's 2018 class was really good. Charlie Strong's 2015 class was really good. That 2017 class that was really talented, saw a lot of guys go out of state, ended up at Ohio State. That class was getting ready to landslide in Texas's favor, except for the Notre Dame win was an aberration. The season tanked. So there's been times where there's been a lot of there's been a lot of hype behind Texas, but never this way where it's truly justifiable based on Texas's recent trajectory as opposed to what they expect to see in the future. Like right now, they can point to tangible success, making the playoffs last year, beating Alabama on the road, ascending to number 1 this year. It's not just hype; it's real. It's what's really happening. We're seeing that play out with the NFL draft too. So they've got a lot of things working the right way for recruiting to take off. Now, will they stargaze enough to to get the number 1 class? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. They're going to have to do a better job recruiting defensive tackles. A lot of times those guys are highly rated. Offensive line, they're kind of content to take some lowly rated guys, so that's going to hurt whether or not they can get the number 1 class. But overall, they're going to wreck shop on skill players. They're always going to wreck shop on quarterbacks unless they're in a down cycle, not a down cycle necessarily, but you're not going to follow up Arch Manning with a 5-star. So that's why they went after Trey Owens. But then you can get Dia Bell, So everything is humming right now for Texas, but they got to keep playing well. Try to get a win this week, and I think you're going to see the hype even pick up even more.
Coach, what are you hearing from the kids that's different from a few years ago?
Man.
It is
young kids are even talking about talking about Texas, right? You know, most people are like, oh, you're going to the game, you're going to go visit Texas. In the past, like, I may go, but now, like, everybody wants to. They're knocking on the door trying to get in. It's a different vibe, man, about Texas right now, especially in the DFW area, man, and just around. Period. Like, people want to talk about Texas. People want to go see Texas. It's like the hot ticket in town again. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to go and be in the building, and so.
Cool school again.
Yeah,
cool
man,
school.
it's buzzing. It's buzzing. It's buzzing.
That matters, man, because A&M kind of stole that for a second, and that bothered me deep down.
Yeah, with Johnny Football. Yeah,
they were, and even more recently, man. Whenever NIL came on the screen, like everyone wanted to see what's going on at A&M. And I was
that's true.
In 2022, one of the cruelest days of my my professional life, Texas gives up that huge lead to Caleb Williams coming in, and then I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going home. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop off in Waxahachie, find a bar, and watch Alabama beat A&M to make myself feel better. And then A&M beats Alabama. I just go get a hotel room and so then, of course, they had the NIL. That was the NIL class. I mean, they're all NIL classes, but that one was obviously NIL class. They're getting
real pioneers.
Yeah, they didn't even have a defensive coordinator there landing 5-star defensive players. But
yeah, it was crazy.
But that was, that was fool's gold, pyrite, and but A&M's good at manufacturing that. Texas has been good at manufacturing it, but it hasn't been real for A&M in a long time, and right now it is real for Texas.
Yeah, who will be the new OC at OU? I mean, for legit though, they're gonna have to have a new OC.
Yeah,
the fans were talking about Graham Harrell, but I mean, it makes sense. But they're clinging back to the air raid.
Right.
Come home.
Yeah, I don't know. They're probably going to do something, but they've got bigger issues than OC. I think the offensive line is a mess. They're missing. How many wide receivers are they missing?
5.
Yeah. I don't think Seth Luttrell forgot how to coach overnight. He's got a true freshman quarterback. Now, somebody's gonna have to answer for why Jackson Arnold was prioritized so much and then given up on so quickly. They either made a bad investment on him or they made a bad investment to give up on him that quickly. One of the two. So they're wrong. They could be wrong both ways. They probably will. They're going to throw somebody under the bus. Venables has been the man under the bus before, so he's probably gonna be like, "Hey, look, it happened to me. It can happen to you."
Well, that's the tricky part. Is that Hawkins is about to have a rough season too. So it's like, are you going to destroy 2 young quarterbacks here? That's also your risk.
Yeah, there's been some real mismanagement. It goes back to how they let Dylan Gabriel roll when they had a known proven commodity. Yeah, but
And Jackson ain't playing no more, guys. He's gonna red shirt. People need to understand. He played 4 games. That kid is not getting in another game, folks.
Man, I thought the same, but he was warming up. He spent a lot of time warming up on Saturday. I kept wondering if they're about.
He was standing next to the action, but
I think that's optics.
I do. There's a part of me that
team player, baby, team player.
In his head, he's just furious the whole time. But for whatever the next school is going to like him standing near the action. But that's going to be.
What's OU going to finish out? They've got a tough schedule, man.
They're going to battle for bowl eligibility. You can't score, dude.
We got Ole Miss, who's disappointing. Missouri, who's disappointing as well. But they still have. They got LSU, I think.
They got Bama too, don't they?
Yeah. So they're. That's why I said the OU fans were celebrating and trying to dunk on us. I said when they got Dominic Williams, I said you're 8-4 with them, you're 8-4 without them, but now you're down $850K too. So. I don't really get that investment. They should have bought 3 offensive linemen in high school.
Yeah, whenever he got into that scuffle, Dominic Williams, there was some good Schadenfreude there because I was like, you picked the wrong side, man.
Yeah,
you picked the wrong.
Lowe posted that. I chose the right side on Twitter after the game.
Yeah,
they might only win 1 more game, guys. They got South Carolina next.
5-7.
Oh, South Carolina, yeah.
Then they got Ole Miss. Then they got Maine. They'll beat Maine. Then they got Missouri at Missouri. Then they got Bama, and then they go to LSU.
Even playing Maine to me is a loss. I'm sorry.
They might go 5-7.
That's what I'm saying. They're really gonna have to battle, man.
They might go 5-7. That's alarming.
And here's the thing: it's like he's been giving no one's on him enough for this is year 3.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable in year 3. Like Sark, I know we were in the SEC, but Sark handled business year 3. We weren't having problems with quarterbacks and offensive lines. Hold my breath. Hopefully next year's offensive line, I don't have to email it.
Yeah.
But like that's the part that bothers me too, is like y'all are treating him like he's going to go 6 years. It's like it's unacceptable to have these levels of problems. Wide receivers getting hurt, fine. But the reality is your guys that aren't hurt are still 4-star wide receivers and would still start at G5s. So the fact that you guys can't complete passes is absurd. You know, so it's just like to have this many problems, you mismanage
mismanagement.
Yeah, quarterbacks, you
roster.
mismanage offensive line. Your running backs are doing nothing. There's no development occurring. I mean, so you guys can keep talking about this elite defense, but he's a coach of the whole team.
Yeah.
CEO,
exactly.
man. CEO.
All right, fans. Any final things, Eric? Any questions you see that I missed?
Well, I always like to get to David Williams here. Wait, that's not the one. Here it is. How much of any importance do you think there is of Texas program compared to Georgia currently and in previous years Texas A&M regarding player legal issues? I mean, player legal issues come out, and so we would hear about that. They hit the police blotter, and somebody's going to report them once it does that, and so we just don't hear about that much. Ajay Hall was a huge parking ticket issue. Remember that? DeMar being overshown had a misunderstanding, like with a court date or something over something minor, and it's nothing. Just blow
Had to do a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Savondre Sweat, he was out of the program when he got in trouble, and there's a lot of context behind that one that I don't think Savondre Sweat was not the worst guy of all time I've ever heard of on that situation. So for the most part, it's tough to corral 100 young 18 to 22-year-olds. Because kids are stupid, they do stupid things. I certainly did. I was, into my 30s. I think that it's part of the evaluation process that they're going to pick kids that more often than not do the right things. That's, they're all going to make mistakes. But no, we would hear about it if they were getting in trouble. It's not really something you can hide unless you're Baylor.
Yeah. Had to get Baylor shot in.
Nice.
We're in the SEC. We're in the SEC now, but still, we didn't forget Baylor. That's the tricky part with Georgia, right? Like I said, two of their better wide receivers, family violence issues, of course. But the problem is someone died at Georgia. It's like, and they're still doing this. It's not like, hey, something bad could happen. Something bad already happened, and they're still behaving like that.
That's some old SEC ignore it. Total mismanagement. I think it's a severe issue. I mean, kids in general don't take cars seriously enough, man. Every time you get in the wheel, it could be the last time, and it might not be your fault. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Racing 100 miles an hour at night. I mean, shouldn't everybody learn from not Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, right?
Sure.
And you had the guy in Kansas City had an issue in Dallas this year too, Rashee Rice. I don't know, man. It's people need a wake up call, and even when they get a wake up call, they don't take advantage of it. We just beat OU. Let's finish this one on a higher note.
True that.
Let's hit this one. We'll just do our final predictions here. Call your shot. Who leads Texas in receiving Saturday?
Ooh,
I'm going Wingo.
I want it to be Wingo. I just like every time he catches it.
Because it could be. I mean, it depends on what you mean by lead him in receiving. We're going, catches or the amount of times he makes you get say, "What the hell did I just watch?"
WTFs per minute. He could have 3 catches for 127 yards. Only 3 catches, but he just goes off. So I'll just go Wingo. Yeah, get the ball in his hands, and he's going to be good. Any receiver outside, because both outside corners got burnt versus Mississippi State. So the outside guys should be able to, if Quinn can hit them.
Yeah, I like Wingo, and especially Bond is a little nicked up. So yeah, Wingo makes sense.
He goes Wingo. I'm gonna have to go Gunnar Helm. Maybe they got safety help outside, and Gunnar just kills everybody in the middle. That's my MVP anyway. I'm always gonna pick Gunnar. I don't know.
Hey, Gunnar, that was a predictable game for him, and he still delivered.
Yeah.
That's a great pick, man.
Mossing guys in triple coverage.
Bro.
That was the play. Man. Hey, Sark was in his bag, man. Sark was so arrogant. He was like, "Oh, you missed the pass. I'm gonna give it to you again, baby."
Hey, we said on IT that he finally understands this game, and he's going to try to put up a lot more points. They regretted only putting 49 on him. Honestly, they came to that belief. So they were going for it 4th and 1. Could easily kick the field goal, then a double passing.
Yeah.
And Helm was looking for it over the wrong shoulder. He adjusted to it, still went up and got it. That was an amazing play.
Yeah, it was.
All right, I think mine's gonna be Golden, man. Golden. I like Golden. He's gonna be like the forgotten man in this game, but watch him show up this game. I'm just going off just a limb, man. No facts, no stats on this, but give me Golden in this game, man.
Now
I
he
do
was-
want to see a big Golden game where like he has not just red zone, but like can able to get some chunk yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was half a foot away from having a touchdown the end of the day. It was, I think if Quinn gets that ball out just a tick sooner. Golden's always a good pick because it doesn't. He's obviously comfortable with Quinn in the red zone. Yeah, Golden's a good pick.
I mean, y'all took a lot of them. We're really out of receivers, so I'll say.
What about Jonte Cook?
I'm gonna say Dante Cook, but I don't know. I'll take DeAndre Moore. We're just naming receivers at this point, but give me DeAndre Moore.
The good thing is you can. I mean, you can pick multiple. You never know. There's so many good guys. Somebody might just go off. You never know who it is.
We're 6 deep a receiver, man.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Ready to roll, fellas? Chat,
Yep.
y'all good? All right, cool. Thank you guys for hanging out. The Red River has been brought back to Austin, and balance is restored in the universe. See you guys tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Hook 'em.